highest level he's ever been at, and he still couldn't offload Tade on one single climb. Where do they go from here?
Well, that's something we just mentioned the earlier part of the program, Matt. We were just wondering how Y1Rs Vingegaard would challenge Tadej Pogacar this year in the Tour, because he had the perfect preparation. Last year was a bit difficult for Vingegaard because he had that crash in the early part of the season, and for that it was difficult to know how good Pogacar was. But this year we see both of them had the preparation that they needed to do, and Pogacar wins, so comfortably. So what can Visma Lease do? There's nothing there that they seem to be able to do. Pogacar, can he improve more? I don't think so. Vingegaard, can he improve? I don't see where that can come from either. So it's going to be a one. Yeah, it's not going to be an easy one to beat Pogacar in the next number of years, and yeah, they'll have to reinforce the team in some way. Ayuso is the one who is a talent. He wants to leave UAE. Where will he go? There's talk about that. The rumour is turning at the moment. So maybe he is a one where, if he is to come, if he becomes more of a better stage race rider, he's very, very young, of course. So is that a possibility? But yeah, it's difficult to see where they can challenge Pogacar in the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. When I'm thinking about that, is, do you go where he's not? If you know that Tade is going to do the Tour and the World Tour, we know he's going to do the Tour. Does Y1Rs target the Giro?
Well, I think that's always been the case. The riders they see where the other biggest challenges are going, they maybe go to the other big 3-week tour. But of course, everybody wants to win the Tour of France, and Tade, he wants to win another number of them. How many that will be? That, how well will he keep his focus? That's an interesting one, because I think age-wise, physically he's capable of going on for quite a number of years, but mentally will he be able to keep that focus? That is the question. And we've heard this year already. He wants to get this tour finished. He's that type of rider. He just wants to race, and maybe he loses, that concentration a little bit as the race go on. And where can Vingegaard go? But they all want to win the Tour of France, of course. So that is the problem. How do you beat him? And yeah, there doesn't look to be a solution where you can say that is a possibility. There isn't one there.
No, not with the current format. But yeah, it'll be interesting. And I'll be really curious to see if they both end up at the Tour of Spain. I'll be really curious. I know they're both penciled in, but like we've been talking, Tade looks a little bit jaded. He needs a good rest, and the difference is that Y1Rs' build-up was very much for here, whereas Tade, we've seen him winning everywhere he goes, right through spring, and that also takes the mental energy out of you as well. When every time basically Tade's got a number on, he's there for the victory.
Well, I think that was the thing that Visma Lease bike were looking at. Tadej Pogacar, the race he had ridden this year, he just went for every one of them and did not ride them as easy as he could. He went and tried to dominate the race, attacked from a long ways out. Was that going to affect the Tour of France? And Visma and Vingegaard were hoping that might affect them in the final week of the race, but as we've seen, it hasn't at all, and that is going to be a real difficult one. And now the question is the Vuelta. We've been hearing Pogacar saying the Vuelta is going to make a decision after this tour. He's not too sure yet. So it'll be an interesting one. We see the two big ones coming, head to head again in the Tour of Spain. We'll have to wait and see. But it's the Tour of France, the one that we all know. The big champions in the Tour of France, if they've won 1, 2, 4, they still want to win more.
Definitely.
It's magnificent, isn't it? We were hoping in a few moments ago on Oscar Onley. We talk about Tadej Pogacar, and of course, he's still a young man, let's not forget, and he may well be in a dominant position for many, many years to come. And, you wouldn't wish ill on anybody, but it's great to see that there are rising stars. And you look at the top 10 and the battles that we had to get into it. But Onley's performance, we mentioned it earlier, but he has been absolutely magnificent. 4th place and a proper skirmish as well for the young riders classification. And of course, that last step on the podium. It's not just about 2 riders, is it?
No, it is not. The battle between him and Lipowitz was an impressive one, and both of them are very green. But Oscar Onley, what a breakout performance we've seen this month. And I know teams put it out there they came here for going for stages, and maybe they were, but I think if you'd ask Oscar before the Tour de France if he could sign off for fourth place in the Tour de France, he would have taken it. But it's an exciting, he's a very exciting prospect, and still a lot of room to move. I think at 22 years of age and the racing that he hasn't done, it's great for UK cycling, and he's one of those riders who is in that next wave of guys coming through underneath Tadej and Y1Rs, and I'll be curious also to see where his program takes him over the next couple of years, because obviously it's his second Tour de France. I dare say he'll love to come back here next year. He still can win that white jersey category for a couple more years, but it has been an incredible performance, and the team will be very, very happy on a few fronts with his performance. Not discounting the points that he's brought them, and put them in a very, very safe spot as we approach the back end of the season for the relegation battle.
Yeah, it's going to be a very special day for him, indeed for everybody. Sean, the honour of riding in onto the Champs-Elysees, it's spectacular for any rider, but with the crowds that we've had here, no matter what the weather, it must always come as a surprise to everyone, even those who've experienced it before. Just the warmth of the welcome is constant here, isn't it? It's an amazing.
Well, the Champs-Elysees is an amazing place, and no matter what way you get to the end of the Tour of France, if you're having a real good race and you've achieved your objectives, if you're happy to achieve your objectives and you haven't performed as you would like, maybe it's not as exciting. But when you come onto the Champs-Elysees and you've got one of the leaders' jerseys, then it's an enormous feeling. And if the race has been successful, of course, if you have a jersey, it's a successful race. And if you can win at the Champs-Elysees, as we have seen many times in the sprinters, that is a great way to finish a Tour of France as well, because it is one of the big stages of the Tour of France. To win on the Champs-Elysees, it's like winning for the climbers, to win on Alpe d'Huez, win on Mont Ventoux. Champs-Elysees is the big one for sprinters.
Sean, I've always wanted to ask this question. For you, out of all your Tour de France victories, which one's the most special?
I think my first one is still the most special. My first year in the Tour of France, I managed to get into a breakaway. I was in a team where I was a domestique at that time with the Belgium team of Freddie Martins, and there was a day where it was one of these difficult stages, and the director sportif said at the time, okay, it's probably a bit too difficult for the sprinters here today, so if you can watch out for the breakaways. And I went in a breakaway, 5 or 6 guys up one in the sprint, and to get into the Tour of France and winning your first appearance there, it was a huge thing back then. But nowadays, of course, the guys come in, they want to win the Tour of France in their first appearance, or they want to be in the top 3 or 4, and they are doing that, and that is the way cycling has changed, because the way the riders are being looked after from a very young age. When I started out, you look at a rider at 14, 15, 16 starting out now, they have a coach, they have a program for their training.
Very structured training, very, very structured. And
when I rode as a 14, 15-year-old, I raced on a Sunday back in Ireland. I put the bike in the garage the week, I didn't take it out for the following Sunday.
And just out after school with your mates, out for a ride after school.
Well, sometimes I go out after school, but I was raised on a farm, of course, and I had to do the work for my father in the summertime, especially when you would be going out biking. All of that had to be done as well. So in the earlier days, I did not do anything really in midweek. But then, as I learned, you have to train a bit during the week as well. Then I started going out with my friends who were in the local cycling club.
Chateau de Versailles, just such an enormous creation. It's absolutely vast. If you want to know why there was a revolution, look no further, because the difference between Marie Antoinette famously is essentially the building of this and the way that she lived her life and lorded it over the general population was the cause, of course, of the ultimate revolution. And it brought, indeed, republics to the world.
TNT Sports coverage of the Tour de France is sponsored by Service Now.
TNT Sports, powered by Endura.
This guy's vision is not normal. Tuesday and Wednesday nights are normal. Thursdays are wild too. Streets won't forget not normal. Normal levels
untraditional big six. You thought of special. These flows weren't normal. Depth steppers aren't normal. Neither is 18 games at the same time. Normal swing is hard. With all these competitions in one place, this is not normal. TNT Sports.
Got a bike? Then it's ready to Zwift. Just grab a Zwift Ready trainer with Zwift Cog. It's ready for everyone, even this guy. Zwift Ready trainers with Zwift Cog. Ready to ride and ready to Zwift.
When you invest with eToro, you start seeing investors everywhere.
You see, eToro really is everywhere.
Join more than 40 million people worldwide and invest anytime, anywhere with eToro.
We've been sold a lie that the more we buy, the better we'll feel. Wake up. Health isn't a product, it's a practice. It's time to make choices that become habits that can change everything. Wake up. See what happens when the power is back in your hands. Welcome to the awakening.
We are Imatra, the native digital accounting currency dedicated to cyclists. Download the Imatra app and earn with every kilometer. Imatra is Garmin connected.
Taking a leap means jumping forward. A jump into cutting-edge technology, style, and elevated look. Your smarter way of bringing the change has arrived. Leap Motor, a leap forward.
TNT Sports, powered by TOURE. This coverage is brought to you by Felix, proud partner of the Tour de France.
Well, our brand new series that takes you deeper into the world of mountain bike racing through its fastest machines continues tomorrow. And we've got a sneak peek at what you can look forward to.
These are the toughest bikes in the world. No way, there it is. Toughest bikes in Overload. My name's Rick McLaughlin and I'm a guide in the world massive bike geek.
This is the area I like to call my office.
Wow. These are the bikes that redefined what was possible, pushed the whole sport forward, and allowed the world's best riders to achieve the seemingly impossible.
Everybody knows who the world champion is.
Senda is something pretty special.
Thanks, Rich. Don't miss that episode 3. It premieres tomorrow afternoon at 5:15, directly after stage 3 of the Tour de France Femme on TNT Sports 1 and, of course, Discovery Plus. It looks a bit grim down there. I'm just hoping we don't get any standing water. Just to that question, Matt, as to whether this might actually draw in bizarrely more ambition from some of the peloton. If times are going to be neutralised, so essentially, if you take a tumble, it doesn't count. Is it going to draw more into the battle at the end of today?
I don't think so. I think we'll just have a very select group of maybe 30 odd riders who will be contesting, who will race it like a classic, and that's that type of rider. I think there's a lot of teams still who haven't won a stage, and as tricky as it will be getting around this circuit if it does rain, I think you'll still get a substantial amount of guys looking for that coveted stage victory. So.
And the moment. Pace has picked up, 91 kilometres to go. I guess it feels like a big reach before we get to Paris, but as soon as we're there, Matt, as soon as we get onto the circuit, the complexion of the day always changes, doesn't it?
It does. It does. The chit chat stops. The champagne has been drunk, and then it's time to focus. And I remember that, obviously years in the team car with the guys as we approach Paris. I just would give them just that little reminder, just to switch on, because for a big part of today's stage, it's very relaxed. And you're chatting with your mates, which you haven't had a chance to do for 20 days. But when you approach Paris, that's it. Puts game on, and that's when the focus really has to narrow in, because you go from riding at 20 kilometres an hour, which they're doing at the moment, to warp speed in a matter of minutes.
Well, they're disappearing from view, but not out of our minds. I always ask this question, and unfortunately, it's fallen upon your shoulders because you might not like it. Who and what has disappointed you in this year's race? What's not functioned as high as you might in terms of performance from somebody in the peloton that perhaps you'd have hoped more from?
Oh, that's a good one.
It's a nasty one. I never really liked asking it, because I always feel that just the completion of the Tour de France is something very, very special indeed. And it's hard to pick out a negative, to be honest. But there have been some anonymous riders here that perhaps we were expected to see more of.
There has. The secret is the backstory, is the content. A lot of riders have issues, whether small or big. They keep them from the media. You don't really know everyone who's been sick, or the backstory is important. The context is important, but there has been teams that obviously have been a lot more visible than others. And no, I'm going to avoid that one about picking a single rider who is disappointing. But it is getting through the Tour de France is a challenge enough, and everyone's on their own special journey to get to the start line of the tour, and then obey their team orders, or give as much as they can to the goals and targets every day.
Yeah, I guess the person I was hoping to see a lot of flamboyance from, and I was disappointed to see him go. Perhaps more than some others, although you never want anyone to step off the bike. Remco Evenepoel, I'd have loved him to be here today, wouldn't you?
Definitely, he's one of the stars of our sport, and it would have actually even made that fight for the podium even spicier between Onley and Lipowitz. So I would have liked to see Remco go head to head with the two young fellas. So we're going to have to wait another 12 months for that one.
Yeah, so it would be interesting to see Philipsen, Jasper Philipsen going out in the very early part of this tour. It would have been a nice one to see him battled with Jonathan Milan for that green jersey, because he was in excellent shape, we see, from the beginning of the tour. So, yeah, when you look back, there's quite a few of them. Joe Almeida going out of the race also in the earlier part. I was really looking forward to how he would finish in the GC. Having to work for Tadej Pogačar, but still possibly he could make the podium as well, because he's had an excellent season. So, there's quite a few ones which you would look at here, and not through their own fault at all, just through the accidents that went out of the race. But it would have been nice to see them continue on the tour, and what sort of performance and how far and what could they have done.
And even riders, well, Carapaz was supposed to race here and got sick in the week prior to the Tour de France. So there was a couple of big favourites that we would have loved to have seen add to the action. But that's the Tour, that's racing. You have good luck, bad luck, and it's all what's part of our very, very dynamic sport.
A kind of question then for both of you. Sean, the joy that you had for Ben Healy, and of course to see him come so close on so many other occasions as well. It was an absolute dynamo, and that's been wonderful. And of course for you, Matt, Gravesy winning yesterday and the emotions that he displayed, I found myself just great.
Yeah, well, and also Ben O'Connor. That was a big, big win, and I know how important that was to the team. But no, Caden Now, Caden, in his interviews, you could see the emotion, what it meant for him, and he came into the Tour de France as a real specific, in his first Tour de France, as a real specific role for leading out Philipsen. That ended very quickly, but did deliver stage one, led him out to a great win, and he was running out of opportunities, and also having Vanderpool leave, that didn't help his cause neither for help in those finals, but it's been one of those tours, Sean, which, and I can't remember in the last 20, 25 years, it certainly hasn't been much for the sprinters this tour.
No, it's something that is getting more and more difficult, and we touched on that on a number of times in this race already, where you see the four stages of the tour. There's always these uphill finishes or a climb, difficult one in the final, 10, 15 kilometres, even 5 kilometres to the finish, and that makes it really difficult for the sprinters to survive. And that is the way the organisers are going. They're making these races now, the finals very, very difficult, and for a pure sprinter to survive is getting more and more difficult. So unless you're a rider like Caden Rose, who can survive on the difficult climbs, as we see him doing yesterday, we've seen him doing many times before, that's the type of sprinter is going to win more stages in the 3 weeks.
Yeah, I was talking with Dylan Grunwegen last year. He told me, he said, look, if I was starting my career now, he said, I would really have trouble winning at the Tour de France, because now he's last dying breed of pure sprinters, and he just doesn't really win over 2,000 metres of climbing. And there's not too many stages with under 2,000 metres of climbing, and then, like I said, the ones that do have these little surprises in the final hour of racing, which just is just too much for those big, pure sprinters.
Definitely. He kind of won it like Michael Matthews would have won it, I kind of felt yesterday. And that bodes very well for Caden Groves, because he may well be thought of as an opportunist and given more opportunity because of his win yesterday. What do you reckon?
100%, Golden. When we signed Caden, we were thinking of him as the replacement for Michael Matthews, because they are very, very similar characteristics. I think for pure speed, Michael at his best, and Caden, I think Caden's faster. Climbing ability, probably Michael at the moment is a little bit better, but they could target very, very similar races. Milan San Remo. Maybe Caden's not quite there for Amstel Gold, but the same sort of finals they will target. Where the pure sprinters are not there, and they have the ability to survive more than the likes of Dylan Groenewegen, Philipsen less so. But no, they're very, very similar characteristics, but 10 years apart.
Just got some race radio there in from Subel Quickstep, and a warning really, to get your heads together, because this is going to be serious. Presumably Tim Malia is the man that they are targeting. Don't even be surprised if Caden Groves had another go today, because Sean, having some lumps at the end won't frighten Caden Groves at all, and he's got a Tour de France win in his back pocket, for goodness sake.
Well, this final circuit here would suit Groves, but the problem is yesterday's effort. That's riding in the breakaway all day, doing the solo at the finish. I'm afraid he is going to have difficulty. I think the recovery won't be good enough to be able to challenge on this final difficult circuit here up the climb of Montmartre.
No, he went deep yesterday.
So he did. Deep emotions as well. I found myself choking up just listening to him. Oh dear. This sport, Sean, it gets under your skin. It's absolutely magnificent. Department de Haute-Seine will come to Sean for his thoughts. We've actually got Adam Blythe on the bike to share his, as things are just knocking back for the time being. Adam, how's it shaping up for you? Roads are getting a bit wet, a bit sticky.
It is getting a bit wet. We've got a little bit of drizzle. The roads are soaked, but it's still warm. So we're all right, but we're just on this little climb, which is steep, very steep. And I've got the climber behind me, Victor Campanarts now. He's looking good. He's got some things down his top, full concentration mode. But just a quick one I want to put across to you guys. This route hasn't been announced for next year that it's going to do these laps on Montmartre. And I don't know when the last time someone won the Tour de France in the yellow jersey that also won on the Champs-Elysees. This might be the only time that it ever happens where we might see this happen again. So I think for Pogacar, we know that he likes putting himself in the history books. We know that he wants to be classed as the greatest cyclist ever lived. So why wouldn't he go for it today? And also the risk factor involved. There's no GC to be worried about as long as he crosses that line. If I was him, and I'm not, obviously, but the way that he races, it wouldn't surprise me today if he had to give it a nudge and go for it.
Did you get that, guys? It was a question to yourselves from Adam. I'm not sure they can hear you, Adam. So I can't really answer it myself. Not being a pro.
Yes.
Did you get it?
Sorry, Calvin. Yes, we've got it there. Yes, we did. Yes, and yeah, it's an interesting one, but we know that Pogacar would love to win this stage here on the Champs-Elysees. I know the time is not going to be counting at all, but if you crash and you cannot get over the finish line, then you have the risk of losing a Tour de France here by going for a stage. It's huge here on the wet conditions. In the dry conditions, as we said, that would not be a problem. But now with the wet conditions, I don't think the leader and the rider who is going to win the Tour de France to take that amount of risk, because they will be big mistakes here by the riders who want to win this stage, and there's a lot of them there.
Sean, come on. You'd want to do this if you were racing in that yellow jersey and you forgot to. You'd want to have a go. You wouldn't be able to help yourself. And that's why I think he's going to do it.
Thank you, guys. We're just heading in to Paris now. In fact, we're just having a look at the Paris Saint-Germain. Is this the Parc des Princes? I didn't see the caption pop up. If it is indeed, this is not that far away from where Sean Kelly is staying, and where Sean Kelly could be seen out and about riding. Sean, have you managed to stretch your legs while you've been in Paris?
Yes, we have, Carlton. We've been out many times here on the circuit around Longchamp, which is the hippodrome here, and there's a lovely bike circuit around there, close to traffic and quite safe, because around Paris is not the best place for biking with all the traffic at red lights, but it's a great place to bike there, and we have been out quite a lot.
Well, we're just coming in, and we're going to be experiencing what Monsieur Haussmann did when he took essentially the bulldozer. Not that they had them back then, but they basically sized down old Paris, which was largely wooden buildings. I don't know whether the Fire of London had anything to do with it, but nonetheless, it is a designed city, and for that we are eternally grateful, and it's absolutely wonderful. Just dwelling on the Parc des Princes, this used to be the National Stadium before they went out to, of course, they built the Stade de France where the national team played, but still Paris Saint-Germain play in that area. It's absolutely wonderful, very close to the studios where we used to live and work, and in fact very, very close to Roland Garros, of course, something you're very familiar with, tuning in and watching the Grand Slams right here. This is the National Observatory. But do you know that they keep here the official meter as well? Did you know that?
No. And what meter are we talking about there?
It is a preserved, defined meter. It's a meter long, obviously, and it's kept in special conditions so that it doesn't get affected by different temperatures, different weathers, and all that. So if you ever need to go back and work out what a meter is, even down to the last micron, it's here. There you go. Just thought you'd like to know. We haven't got John here for our observatory, but nonetheless, I imagine with some of the light pollution in the city of light these days, you can't see terribly much out the old antenna. This man, as we come into Le Nord, I believe that's normally our approach into town. Some spectacular villas in this part of the world as well. We come over a little tiny rise and then drop down and pass by the old studio. would say London feels less so. It's more of a commercial city. It sort of feels like that. There are vast tranches of it that, oh yes, sure, hotels and offices and the rest of it, but not actually residential. And Paris has that, so it has a real soul to it that is absent from many other modern cities. Well, it's a bit to misperch London too badly. I live there myself, but Paris is a very, very special place. Sean, I know that you love coming back.
Yeah, well, Paris is a lovely city, and it's a great place to come and to visit. And we see this morning when we're coming in here, the loads of tourists around Paris, and of course in the Tour of France, it's it's a lovely city, and it's a place which for biking it's actually improved quite a lot from last year. I think for the Olympics they've made a lot of the roadways where they have segregated bike paths, and very, very safe. So it's a good place for biking as well. It's improved a lot since I was here, and I've been told by the locals here who I've been riding with, they did a lot of work here for the Olympics and made it very bike friendly.
It certainly did. The Tour Eiffel, Eiffel himself, of course, it was built for a great exhibition. And then they were going to tear it down, and then radio came about, and they thought, you know what, we need a high antenna. And it's been here ever since. I remember being on a bus once and just saying for a joke to one of my friends, when are you going to finish that scaffold? And this old lady on the bus got very, very upset. It just finished, it just wanted to go. I know, it's just good. And did you know that Eiffel himself actually lived here on the tower? I believe he actually lived at the top of it for a while, and he used to let down a basket, because there was no lifts back then, it was just stairs. He used to let down a basket on a rope. Goodness only knows what the basket contained, but apparently it was a nice container, let's leave it there. And then the food would be put in, and he would hold it back up. And then, of course, he got very fed up with all of this after a couple of weeks and thought, to hell with this, I'm not going to live up there. I'm not going to live up here. But he did give it a go, which, you've got to be impressed with. It's been used for all kinds of things, not least some of the early attempts at flying as well. Famously, somebody leapt off the first stage here, expected to take flight, and didn't. So that was the end of that attempt. Sean Kevin with a mirthful stick. You've got to try it, Sean. Really, Coach? It really did happen, yes, I'm afraid. No thanks. Well, you've got to be brave on a day like today. Not that brave, obviously. But here we are, with 76 points, the 7 kilometres to go. We're nearly at the Champs-Élysées, Sean. This must be giving you a thrill.
Yes, well, it's great to come back to the Champs-Élysées, and memories come back, of course. There were some great years here when I did the Tour of France. Other ones which were a bit more difficult, you come back in a very poor shape, and you're totally empty. You start out of the Tour of France with intentions of doing something, winning stages maybe. Green jersey, the one which we would have started out many times and didn't work out on a number of occasions. So on those days and those years, you come back, and it's not the same, but if you come back and have a successful race for it, there's no great offence.
Well, somebody's going to be critical today, Conor Berger, amongst others, but this is the Invalides, which originally was a hospital that was created for the wounded, of course, of the Napoleonic Wars. What a grand place to recuperate. Yeah. How many times have you been to Paris, Matt, or is it you just lost count?
Yes, I have lost count. Actually, one year I did stay on for a little bit of a holiday after the tour for a couple of days just to decompress and have a look around this beautiful city. But most years it's just in and out. You're not even staying in the city the night before the last day. You're staying somewhere in the outskirts, if not further, or travelling up from south of France. But it is one of those cities that's definitely worth a look around.
Time to welcome back John. This is incredibly familiar to both you and I.
We know these roads, we've shared vaccines and taxis, heading for, well, all the wonders that this city has to offer.
Yeah, absolutely right, Carlton. All the big restaurants and the high-class meals that we used to have. Well, we didn't have too many of those. We used to spend our time in comedy clubs at Underline, and I had some very, very fine evenings, I've got to say that much. A beautiful place, John, and you must be getting wistful. I am. I mean, the mention of the Hotel du Nord and the comedy clubs brings back many memories. And you referenced earlier about the fact that my laugh got me into, not trouble, it just got referenced by a comedian. It stopped halfway through the delivery, like from Dominic Holland, and just went, who's the guy with the laugh at the back? And I realised with shock and horror that he was referring to me, and had to put my hand up. But he asked what I did. I said I was a sports commentator, and he said, young man, I've probably got you a fine evening ahead of you now. I was just about to say, I've been reminded that Dominic Holland, he is the dad of Spider-Man. Did you know that, John? I did not know that. Yes, exactly. And I remember him telling the story as well, of how he took his son along to an audition and said, now listen, this might not go well. Don't be disappointed, but, just have some fun. And he got the gig. See, I remember him talking about a story where he took his son to a bathroom showroom and said that's the only time he left with a brand new bathroom and one extra unplumbed-in toilet, because his son had decided to demonstrate his prowess at doing certain things. I guess that's why he had to buy it. Exactly right, yeah. Oh, dear. Meanwhile, here are the cobbles that are causing us such worry at the moment, and first look at it. Now, I advise you to look closely at the elbows and wrists to see just how indeed difficult this can be. It was actually all asphalted over. You can see where it's worn down, they just didn't replace it. Do you know the reason, John, why it received a coating of asphalt back in the 1960s? No, but I think you're going to tough on me. It was to stop students picking up the cobbles and throwing them at the police during the famous riots. So yes, but now it's worn back down on the Champs-Élysées, which gives you the famous sort of cobbled look. I've seen a few chains nearly chucked off as well, Sean, when we get to the Champs-Élysées, because it can get that rough, can't it, on the approach to the finish line?
Hello there, Carlton. This is Sean's accent sounding slightly different because it's Robbie.
You've changed, mate. Hello.
I've sent Sean out for a break, a breather, a drink, a little bit of sustenance.
Good lads, it's nice to have you on board, mate. Sorry I don't have Vision with you today for some strange reason. But yeah, here is the passage through the Louvre. Now, we did this a few years ago for the first time. As you can see, they put a lid because of the steps, but they've got to funnel their way through. And we'll come by the glass pyramid. There's three of them here actually, which throw light into the basement of the great place. And this was a creation of Francois Mitterrand, who thought, yeah, a bit of modernity. And he asked Sophie Marceau on an official visit, I believe to Russia, what she thought of it. She said, I don't like it. I think I prefer. And he thought it was a guarantee that she would love it. And the answer was, I think it's rather sweet, but maybe I've just got used to it over the years. Robbie, great to have you back. It's been a hell of a race, and to be honest, so many impressions that we've had of it. And today, the familiar is to become unfamiliar with a passage up on March, which you've all been pondering on, whether or not we think it's a good idea or bad. Your thoughts?
Well, at the moment, if the roads stay dry, I think it's a good idea. Had I been in the race wanting to win in a bunch sprint, I wouldn't be thinking it was such a great idea, I've got to be honest. But I think it's an addition to the race that will prove one way or another that it's great or not. But judging by the crowds that are up there, the atmosphere that is up there, it is absolutely incredible. And you can hear them from the Champs-Élysées.
It's absolutely
the difference, Robbie, is on the Champs-Élysées you can't get so close to the riders, whereas on Montmartre they're 10 deep there, and it's such a narrow facade, and the atmosphere will be incredible regardless of the weather conditions.
Passing down the Waverley, you've just seen the junction, which indeed is the left-hand turn just in front of Jean d'Arc. And indeed this famous little shilly shally that we're about to enjoy. Past the gates. We then, of course, come into this area, the Place de Concours. In fact, the headquarters of the FIA just over there in the corner, and this is where we go racing. We take this little shilly-shally here, the left and then the right, to introduce ourselves to the big drag up to the line itself. The magnificent Place de Concours, and indeed the Champs-Élysées itself, home of the greatest finish to the greatest bike race that there is on planet Earth. And of course, the first passage of the line is always going to be our champion. David Catcher smiling, and as you can hear as well, the screams are coming from all quarters at the moment. I imagine his team as well are telling him that he has done it. He has won the Tour de France for the 4th time of asking, and it is absolutely magnificent. There is no better theatre to celebrate sport than this, and there is no bigger achievement, to my mind at least, in sporting endeavour than winning Le Grand Prix, the Tour de France. And David Catcher has done it for the 4th, for goodness sake. Chapeau to him, and indeed to everyone who is enjoying this great edition. It's been another thing that we haven't really seen before. Yeah, Carlton just, it's common to see the yellow jersey being led by his team the first time across the finish line, but completely separated from the rest of the bunch as well. I don't recall seeing it done quite in that way. We used to see Tadej Pogacar up the front of the peloton, but not with his entire team, but a great show of respect for the race champion this year. But now that that is done, it's open slather. You can do whatever you want. It's time to attack if you feel the flow.
And how long do you think, Robbie, before we're going to see some action here?
I think there's maybe just waiting for someone else to just ride back into the wheels of UAE before anybody thinks about going, rather than sort of jump across the gap and hit over the top of them. You might be feeling, well, that's not quite done. It makes it look like you're attacking Tadej Pogacar directly, maybe.
So a couple of minutes then?
Yeah, it shouldn't be longer. And normally the first time up to the Arc de Triomphe, you get here they go, right-hand side.
And here, and away we go. 69 kilometres of racing.
All of a sudden, this has got very, very real. And they peel off the front, and this is our first series of skirmishes to get yourself into a potential break. And let's be fair, Robbie, this is a day that could garner success for the brave. Well, for the brave and the strong. We've all been talking about the climb of Montmartre up to Sacré-Cœur, how that can be the thing that really shapes this stage and a different type of winner than we've ever seen before. What we've also got to think about is if we go on the regular laps of the Champs-Élysées, we do 3 laps of the circuit that we always do, 6.8 kilometres up and down the Champs-Élysées and down around the Place de la Concorde, through the tunnel 3 times, and then we go out on the bigger lap, 16.7k in the climb of Montmartre. But there's nothing to say that before we get to Montmartre, it'll still be pivotal. But there'll be plenty of attacking going before we get there. But you're right, I need to get up the road before that point, because they might not back themselves be able to make the gap there. So get out there and be aggressive now, while others are still thinking to save themselves. That's going to be one of the fascinating things about how this stage pans out. It can never be done. Everything is a possibility. And you can imagine that around the F12, coming back down past the start-finish line, essentially, of our laps. And indeed, the interview which that will start to rain down upon us. The first of which will be in 12 kilometres time. You can see where the asphalt has just worn down ever so slightly. We'll head back down towards the obelisk, then our target point. Whereas if you're up the road, you might momentarily just disappear from view for those who are engaging in the chase. We nudge over towards the centre, don't quite reach it. We take a left-hander,
And as Robbie was saying, we enter the tunnel, come up and say hello to Saint-Jean. We take a left-hander again and bring ourselves all the way back up the Champs-Élysées. Of course, we don't do this every single time. As this year, we will be, of course, visiting the Route de Montmartre, something that was part of the Olympics and very much part of our consciousness for today and potentially going forward. Let's see. Maybe if they like it will just stick. Sticking to the front and sticking the stiletto between the ribs of just about everyone seems to be constantly. Quinn Simmons will he get the overall combativity award? I'm not sure whether indeed that will be handed his way or not. We'll get news of that before the end of today, but right now there are 67 kilometres to go and 10.7 before we get to the intermediate sprint. This is going to feel special. It's a last chance saloon for many, Robbie.
Well, there's still 14 teams that haven't won a stage in this Tour de France out of the 23. So there's a whole lot of empty hands who would be absolutely desperate to make the Tour a success, and you can do that on the final day, in the final stage. You can have a Tour and fix everything with one victory because second place is like this.
Absolutely love it. I love the fact that it's opened up, to be fair, today to a selection, a cross-section of different riders. And I think this is going to be extremely good today. Look, one half of it's the settle down. There's a lot of teams, 14 have got no win so far to their name. The pace is picking up. Ambition is there, bold and clear for all to see. They're still trying to think about a formation and when to go for it, Robbie.
Well, that's the big question about when to go for it. As I said before, riders waiting for Montmartre, thinking about how they're going to get it done there, in position, make an attack on the climb. But plenty of others, as we can already see, including Sepp Kuss, who's followed Bruno Amiro, will be back on 82R. Plenty of riders willing to chance their hand on his early laps of the Champs-Élysées, well before the yellow back in Montmartre.
Well, here is Jean d'Arc. They emerge. There used to be a Norway Tour. There was a Danish Tour. Now they turn the left-hander onto the Route de Montmartre in front of Jean d'Arc. A familiar place for us all. And now a familiar voice who's been blessing us throughout this entire race. Is what actually carry us home on this final day, on the final stage of the Tour de France.
A big thank you very much and very good afternoon wherever you're watching. We've got Alexia Hubinard on the way. We've got Sepp Kuss, but I know we now have Ben here thinking. Oh, Ben, he can look at it done.
It's the top addition, driven forward, but he's conservative by his.
Vibes. Karibu. Ametoka. Eh.
Because for years I can remember coming out there to rules and and that's go Tour, and then she's going to Tour, who's like my great rival back in the day. So I remember it like it was yesterday.
They are a small nation, but a great nation in terms of supporting their heroes. Hubinard looks to have his days numbered. He's being chased up. What's there? You can see army high in the background as well. It's stretching out. It's a real race in this. The Tour traditional finale returns. It's been a one-year absence due to the Paris Olympic Games, but all the way up the back. There's a few riders feeling that this isn't very traditional by this point.
Right, here goes Jimmy. Geraint Thomas in his final tour of his career. But they're down from the back. Sitting last, also he's probably
we wait for the end of every tour. The opportunity for the cross Swift in front of the crowd. Values having to be put on your side. It's quite the sight. Tour of France, welcome home. Just imagine a taxi, you see that flying on you. That's what feels well, I think you need that sort of jet to release yourself from this peloton. We've got to have a back flat tire. And this is something we can straight through like this. Not to mention the back of a little bit position. I understand that riding on a common surface, the outside of the place. Back down they come. Passage around the underfoot. Very small group has managed to just get away and just what we saw in that time. Now this before, which is about 50 centimeters. Three is consolidating things. But watching at the far from the front, the yellow jersey has Reynolds in front of it, and they're chasing. Look who's chasing, and that is the wonderful sight we can see on this boulevard, on this avenue. Remember Brad Williams setting to the mark. Who's taken big capital Steelers ball. And now, almost getting off. He's not going to win his tour, but he's a two-time tour winner. And he is going to bring this back to Lockhart.
And I think that there's a wonderful difference that the makes. We've just talked about how the organisation announced that the time for GCT will be neutralised on the fourth passage of the finish line. So now, a guy like the finish guy, he can lay it down for two. It doesn't matter if he gets the distance towards the end, he just do his job. And that'll be another game changer on this stage that riders don't need to worry about losing time or protecting G6 spots after the fourth time through. So you've got more firepower at your disposal when you put a guy like yours on the front to help you chase. Elsa Palace, time to bring more joy into EF education in some place they were close on one ball. Discovering well, who's going powerless on this avenue. RPI is going to bring this back, a reminder that we've got on this road. Not particularly going to tell too many stories. Today, we might be all riding with RPI in the zone, the yellow jersey from but we think we're back to taking the one for that today on the finals. Here they come, four laps to go. So one more lap and we will take the classification times for the end of this Tour de France. The next time to Milan. Just want to make sure that you win a final interview. Certainly looking around to make sure they have to shine. They're really there as well. The spectators, they're not going to get their big sprint for are they? They want to sprint. That's something to get. Jonathan Miller, with an unassailable lead in a very good competition. It's better off saving to have a go at the finish, but maybe he's just already looked at it and thought, well, I'm not going to have the legs, so I'm going to use power here, and he does. He's got plenty of it. On the opposite side of the road, trying to take points off him. There's been a battling tour for him. He's been down, he's been injured, nothing's gone his way, but he's still up there to take that tour. Just now, the next attack to come from the team that has been anonymous this race. Courtiers, they're in deep relegation doo-doo right now, and they're trying their best to get something out. Credit to them for getting on drive, not letting their heads hang. That's all they can do. They don't have to be completely guys. They just don't have the guys who can go with the big favourites when they go, who can make a difference on the climb of Montmartre or win in the sprint. They've just got they're Hail Marys and they're throwing them out there. But someone springs that latest move in, and now he tries to go and look at Florian Leibowitz. The black jersey on the attack. We're actually next to the German national TV commentators in the box today, so I'm expecting a big cry of joy from Fabio Benvenuto, king of the mountains at Cucino, if he can pull something up. Nice to see Germany back in GC business for the first time in 2 decades. It's wonderful. It is unreal to see. Cycling getting the recognition it deserves in Germany. Strong market for cycling. Depending on how it's gone after yesterday, he was in that range, so I wonder if the expenditure being back yesterday, but his part of yesterday's export was a big crash. It seems it's deep, or it's 4 seconds and it's growing at the moment. 54.5 kilometres remain. Quentin Cinnamon knows no other way in this Tour de France than to ride at the front. He's either been off the front of the road or on the front of the peloton chasing
closely to Jonathan Gibbler and working for the team. I think he's been an absolute Trojan. Let's remind you as well that Neville Armstrong has come away with a podium in the Tour de France, which is going to be a wonderful result, but they're not going to stage it. And this is what awaits everybody. Think back to the Olympic Games last year. Olympic, the signs are different. There's a few more jackets and coats on than there was last year, but look at that. I think the organisers will see this, and the sprinters, they're not going to look away now.
This is exceptional. This is so brilliant. I think anyone who saw the Olympics and felt that they might have missed out on a nice opportunity to bring the bike across the Tinker. They made that mark. They stayed there climbing on a few square centimetres of the ground. This is the most more punches and square foot. Really rough road with a lot of debris. That's a big thing, of course. That's the same story. Back to Montmartre, we were talking about this. The comparison to the Olympic Games. They've done roughly 100 kilometres or so of racing when they got there. A field of 90-odd riders. They're small, a maximum of 2 metres length.
Let the free part there, come on. Step again. Step up. Dubai. Dubai. Eh?
So it wasn't the depth, there wasn't the pure number of riders, also not the depth of the peloton. There'd been a lot of racing going forward, and already by that point a lot of time left. My point is the competition, the fight to be at the front when they hit Montmartre wasn't all that difficult for the World Tour riders, the best riders in the world. Tour de France, you've got a field nearly twice the size, you've got so much more depth of field. It is going to be much harder for this many riders are capable of being in the front. For room that just isn't available, it's extremely narrow, it's technical on the run in. It'll take us back to the classics. Is it sprint? It is very Tour of Flanders like.
Again, trying to set things up, of course, never know which ones comes in outside of the classics in that Arnold Villar. Sort of sprinter who can get out of curves, who can ride the cobbles, but again, sprint. I don't really remind you, having a look down the start sheet, but it's even in the race this year. It's a very different end to the career than it was in the start of the car. This is what was Norwegian corner. And as we come up to 51.8 k's to go, we're up with the finish.
When you're traveling hours across the world, need something rather than
I've met someone who is she's good. I've met another way with our sex. Is your sister really alright?
We could make it up. Brand new 90 Day Fiancé UK. Stream now only on Discovery Plus.
Got a bike? Then it's ready to Zwift. Just grab a Zwift ready trainer with Zwift Car. It's ready for everyone. Even this guy. Zwift ready trainers with Zwift Car. Ready to ride and ready to Zwift.
When you invest with eToro, you start seeing investors everywhere.
You see, eToro really is everywhere. Invest anytime, anywhere.
Problems with grey hair? There is a solution. New Alpacin Grey Attack, the shampoo that makes grey hairs darker. Each technique uses it. It also has the unique Alpacin caffeine formula, bringing you attack grey. New Alpacin Grey Attack. Fight for your hair.
TNT Sports, powered by TOURE. This coverage of the Tour de France is brought to you by Y1Rs.
Welcome back to the next image of the year. The Tour de France on the Champs-Elysees. Robbie, all dressed in green, knows that it's where it belongs. However, we've got a change this year. We're about to head up to Montmartre for the first time, and we've got Simmons, we have Leibowitz, and we've got somewhere over the Tours out of there. For those of you who read the journals, the times have just been taken in the general classification. 50 kilometres to go, and the 4 passes of the Champs-Elysees is where the Tour de France GC times finish. You still got to finish the race to get those times, but Able that up and he crosses the line today. Will be the winner for the 4th time in history here at the Tour. Before we get busy with the stage, Robbie, maybe you've got to get off and at the break, but it's going to join us. Sean's going to come back in as well. Those clouds will forget those for me. A nice work for Able.
Well, Telepogacar just the ultimate champion, and from certain things he's done over the last few years, this is going to be his 4th victory in the Tour de France. And a few years ago, this is as good as someone gets. He's got even better. He's got more consistent. He's stayed just the ruthless. Unbelievable victory. And he has this sense of fun that he brings to cycling, the way he does it. It just inspires everyone who watches it.
Moving up. David Rose being pilot of the world. Just on the right hand side, just behind the green jersey of Jonathan Milan. So Rose, yes, a little elbow out into the hip of Abrahamson. Jordy Beers having a mechanical problem here on the race radio. Well, as we mentioned, the men's race moving towards a finale. The women's race now continues as the Tour de France Swift moves on to stage 3 tomorrow. Was today. No spoilers, but I particularly was interested with a home winner from me. We'll have live coverage tonight, 2 p.m. every stage of the race, plus you can see all the coverage on our YouTube channels, right? TNT Sports and Discovery Plus for the Tour de France fan comics.
Well, Rob, I'm going to remove the headphones, I'm going to hand them across the loop, and I'd like to, I think I'm going to get an e-bike to get myself over to Montmartre, at least for one lap. We'll see you on the breakaway later. Thanks, Robbie.
So 46 and a half days to go. It's just got the position. Different guys. It's like on a school trip out today. Sitting down in the commentary box. Nice to have you with us, Luke. 46 days to go and just sitting here must have been that everything.
Well, it's been a strange day to arrive here this morning. Go through the city, see the fans. It was like 5 hours ago with people with their roads, reserving their place on the roadside 5 hours before the race. And just seeing you really get a sense of the normalcy of the event when you see people on the side. So it's been a bit of a strange thing.
And it's a strange race, an enjoyable race so far, lots of racing. Connor Swift at the front there for the Ineos Grenadiers. I think here chasing with Lutsenko. You've got 2 riders up the road in the shape of Leeds. Great to see a pole finisher of the Tour. Just throwing it all out there today. And it's with Quinn Simmons who's throwing it all out there since day one.
Yeah, they're just sentimental boys, aren't they? But you're really going to see a change in the formation of Hamilton now. They're approaching the climb for the first time. Positioning will be key. We've seen earlier on with Hannah how narrow the road is. Of course, we've seen it in the Olympics, but much smaller Hamilton, let's not forget. We're at 160 riders heading into it now.
And we've just a lot for not being brought up just at the right time. Log here at the back. And it's his mate who's off the front attacking. There he is on the rear of Quinn Simmons, turning around, even twisting, coming to the gate stand and look around. This is no ordinary event. This is unique in the world of sport. For now, who was in that second position, just losing it to the tunnel there. They go back 15, they come around the corner, and this is where things will change now.
Yeah, traditionally, every time I've been part of the event, for a very long time, they continue straight, as we've seen previously. Very shortly, they're going to take right, and it's all going to change. It's a new final stage. Finish off the Tour de France. The fight for position really is on now.
And it looks as though the pressure from behind us, I'm Messina putting it on. Means things are going to change. Becky here was attacking off the front, he's out the back, just holding on. Issues for Bahrain and the left. Lawrence, Kevin Braddock, the Tunis published ruler, the tracking out a mechanical. Now the right turn coming up here, a bit sharp, right? That's where Sean and I did it last time, actually. This point there as well. The exit of the corner, quite narrow there. Low ropes in the middle, not really helping there. Thankfully, everybody seems to be okay and through. They will head up here, and on that map then, the other side of it, heading up Mazel, and then up into the northern part of Paris.
That will change as well. Not that we'll particularly notice it. Traditionally, that's what the buses are always parked as well.
Yes.
Now, another change. It's all been changed in this year. The buses are at the top of the Alpha.
Wow, that's a long way up.
Yeah.
They've got to ride up the hill to get back to the bus.
It's going to be another half lap just gets the bus.
That's a beautiful technique, that map there. Probably kind of bringing John on that one.
Well, it's a stunning, one of the stunning churches. I actually was very, very fortunate when looking at first one to go to a concert there. From some of the little cafes surrounding it as well, which I would have to say probably spent more time than the church itself. Excellent experience to get that particular building up off the floor, and yeah, to buy the in the first. So, expectancy.
Thanks, John. All the Paris, now that we don't usually see on that stage of the Tour de France. A reminder, the top of the first passage comes with 39.6 k's to go. So we're on our way up the hill. Many more landmarks to be passed, including Saint-Augustin here. I remind particularly that maybe I looked at it, it's absolutely glorious. But no chance to look at it because here, obviously, they've got 3 wins, 3 different winners, one upside.
Yeah, it looks like a clear place in their chosen map. Second wheel, here on the US teammate, we only look out. This is just full on leader. Less than 3 k's goes to the 5, that's a 7. So, just over 2 k's to the base of the 5. Very narrow position to be like Tudor. Looks very well organised here with more riders towards the front.
Which I hopefully see that Dagnese are sprinting with a bit of work off the front there, so they maybe call what we've not been for us, but here he is, under Dagnese, looking behind him, trying to beat them in, using the 13s at the back of the line in front of him. You have Alaphilippe, Abbas there as well. World's looking around to see if they can see what's happening. Perhaps moves up, then twisting, then turning, then up for the proper shot.
No, they nailed this. I think Alaphilippe, the rest of the Tour de France, we've become accustomed to with such an incredible rider and what's done in the past. I think if he was to win a stage today, then listen, why not? This is a one-day classic, suits his characteristics. We want to have a full rest for his time.
And the competition arriving on the wheel as well, because White is at the back of the female train for Marius, on the 19 in front of him. I think he's going to lead him into the corner on the right side as well. You see Decathlon moving up. 13 is now sitting in front of Caden Rose, who's going to move on to his wheel. But it's still running near here, but he's the lead up for him today. Into the decline, up to second for one of the monuments you can see from all over the match. Battling for the next turn.
Yeah, all usual suspects moving towards the front. We've got Forage and Horace there as well. POG, which is great to see. That's answered a big question for us. We wanted it, but I was a bit concerned, like I said, like taking the time to really go. Maybe they just sit up, not say that the risks, but if we decide to. It's not a slightly limit to see that. Let's be honest, I think, essentially one of the favour for the game.
Moving up as well, that's good to see.
subiu um chatão.
They're a new team to the Tour de France. They're a new team full stop. They've been around 3 years at this level. Leading on the left-hand side. And TOURE have never won a Grand Tour stage. What a place to take your first this high speed. Here we go. Up the climb. Look at all the people here.
It's like being back in the Olympic Games. No wind, but this time, no problem. They're here in their thousands. All over the world. This is Paris. This is the Tour de France. It's a brand new big finale. This is I was up this morning, checking, we're already drinking, we're already up the beers. It's proper party here like that. It's all been called here by House. So good to see them. This is where everybody has to be ready. Everybody has to be ready to go. And Campanards, well, he lets it go, right his tempo, but trying to keep them in check. But here it's to me trying to follow Alaphilippe. Alaphilippe, the people's champion. See the crowd there, 10 deep, 15 deep, roaring on. I think, the French, they've got many top of this. Alaphilippe, the people's champion, he's going on show for you. Julien Alaphilippe and Cotra on the attack. Distance gone. Fading memories. Lights in this Tour de France. But they will still enjoy the atmosphere.
Chukua chapu unamzuia, chukua yote uchambulie huku. Chukua yote uchambulie huku.
Acha. Acha. On the Champs-Élysées in the yellow jersey, but he isn't going to have it all his own way because Juan Bernard is sticking to his whip. And in this one, number 6 was one for 2 rides, one to the 2 rides. I'm quite sure who the second rider is. Delis was the one who followed. Looks a little wet at the top as well. Sean Kelly's got his eye and everything. He knows of what bubbles to know when he sees one. That's Africa. Over the top we go. Pogacar, Van der Poel. Van der Poel. Maybe a wish that he was still in the race. For that, in the chase. And down at the back, Business is there. We'll be back after this break to bring you concluding coverage here on the home side. These pros work. This guy's an anti-software manager. That's not he does a new normal tactic. That's when they call Porto. That enthusiasm is not normal. He was viewing the success. All these competitions on this is not normal. CMT Sports.
Download the Imatra app and earn with every kilometre. Imatra is Garmin connected.
Personne sera prochain. Mais je peux pas faire passer. Chez moi, c'était fort. J'ai tout donné. J'ai mis tout mon cœur.
Dia tinggal di belakang kita tinggal bebas.
You're watching the Champs-Elysees, you're watching final stage in Paris, and you're looking at the group that is away from being Pogacar, right, led by Armin Hay, with Wout here as well, a big split behind. We've only been up the climb of Montmartre once, it's still got twice on the road with the match here on the Champs-Elysees. We're watching some fantastic racing already, he's still in there. It's an open one. Yeah, we've also got Mike Pink for the day. That's his wheel there. 15 for Stoiber. The team very suited to this terrain, this type of racing. Obviously, that's right in the classics. Jasper Stoiber, he's won classics, he's won full ones of the Savin. There he is, right in the centre of your picture. Let's close that back end back, let's come into the mix once more. The iconic coach.
Because the technical
I'm not sure that this small it's not enough teammates in there to keep it rolling. And as they said here, the one thing that quite notable to me, this guy.
It's about to take it down. Looks like it's getting dark anyway, his difference. Tadej, orange yellow, as the next attack goes up. Sorry, I did say I'm sure the average of you, he's the rider who won a pro race before he even took a stage in Burgos a few years ago. We've had great hopes for him, and I tell you what, he's trying to get away because those cobbles are about to be bathed yet again. The skies, the heavens are about to open. The Champs-Elysees in the most dramatic of conditions. Front group here chasing down Fonchon. Second group at about 300 metres down the road. And then there's a third group further peloton coming in behind.
Austin's rush on as well. His type of race. He's won Trogo Leon early on in the classic style race. And just when he went past in front of us then, one notable name was that man, the big green gorilla in the middle of the shot, distance.
Roglic, Thomas in this group, Jordy Nurse as well. Thomas, just two more matches to come on the Champs-Elysees. He sits on the wheel of Thomas Gooch. Roglic. We're forward to see if they can give Nurse a chance of being more in this group as well. He's wearing the photograph jersey today as Paris goes dark and he's about to carry on.
How much credit do you have to give him? He does not have, just a reminder, the time he drives particularly well. But the introduction is all the things he drives, sit back and relax, keep it safe, just go for a
can see the star getting on there. He's brought a bit of attention on himself. He's got the driver from behind on his wheel. Mohoric and Wright were in this group. Max, Fernand, and Pogacar here as well.